2 years into my career, I was sitting on my couch, scrolling through LinkedIn, making 75 grand a year as a senior specialist in finance. And then I saw it. A role with a title below mine, offering over 100K base pay, plus a bonus, and 4 weeks of PTO. Same job, less experience, but roughly double the pay. I kept wondering how it was possible for two of the exact same jobs to have completely different salaries until I finally realized I had been playing the wrong game throughout my whole career. There are 3 things that actually decide how much money you will make in a corporate career, and the first one, if you screw it up, can cost you millions of dollars before you turn 40. At the end of this video, you'll know exactly what they are and how to make the most money in your career without grinding yourself into the ground. Let's get into it. Lever 1 is the biggest. It's not your skill, it's not how hard you work, it is the industry you pick. Now I know what you guys are thinking. This guy works in finance, so he doesn't really know about my job. Yes, I work in finance, but because of that, I get to see the comp bands across every role in every company I've worked in. This means HR, engineering, marketing, sales, everything. And so I know exactly what you could be making if you were in a different industry. Looking back to that moment where I was scrolling through LinkedIn, here's the part most people get wrong. I wasn't underpaid. Aerospace was paying me almost exactly what aerospace pays a senior finance specialist with just 2 years of experience. The problem wasn't my paycheck. The problem was the building I was sitting in. You see, aerospace has one salary band, media has another, software has an entirely different one, especially in the first 5 years of your career. Same job title, similar work, but completely different paychecks. Well, why is that? Earlier stage software companies sell at 80% margins with very lean teams. They have to pay well above market because they want top talent. Older industries like aerospace, they are Fortune 500 dinosaurs with bloat everywhere. They don't compete for talent the same way because they don't need to. So the same role at a tech company might pay 50, sometimes 100% above what aerospace could pay. Nobody was hiding that from me. I just didn't know it existed. Now here's the part that should actually scare you. Every single year you spend in an industry, your skills get more specific to it. You learn the language, the systems. This means that you get paid more for your industry knowledge. Older niche industries like aerospace can pay you a lot of money the longer you stay because you develop a very niche understanding of their world that applies to a few set of companies. So your value goes up over time. This all sounds great until you one day decide to leave for a different type of company. Imagine a dude 8 years deep in a technical role within a manufacturing company, trying to switch to a fast-growing AI startup. He is basically showing up to a job interview, speaking an entirely different language. So most people don't try to switch when they eventually realize this and just tell themselves, the grass isn't always greener. That doesn't have to be you, because I'm going to break down the highest paying industry tiers so that you're not left guessing. In the top tier is SaaS, which stands for Software as a Service, FinTech, Biotech, Energy, and Oil and Gas. These are by far the highest earning industries. In the middle tier is healthcare, IT, traditional financial services, and aerospace and defense. Those are all solid industries as well. Now in the bottom tier is media, education, government, and most nonprofit companies. They do important work, but just don't expect anything crazy when it comes to your salary. The gap between these tiers is pretty insane. A role for a director of finance at a state government office may ask for more than 10 years of experience and pay around 150K. While a senior financial analyst, which is around 3 titles below, at a fast-growing tech company can earn the exact same number with less than half the years of experience, and he probably still has a full head of hair. HR directors and marketing senior managers at high-growth tech companies are hitting 250K in their early 30s. Take those same exact titles at an old media company and they're making 100 grand less per year for the same job on paper. Now I say on paper because you have to keep in mind that different industries have different work cultures and varying levels of work-life balance. So that's something to always have an eye for. Now here's where it gets even weirder. Different industries don't just pay different amounts. They pay you in completely different types of money. Aerospace, manufacturing, oil and gas typically pay you in cash. Base salary plus an annual bonus. Take it home, spend it, done. Tech is usually different. They hand you stock or RSUs and options. Basically pieces of the company that vest over time. And if you happen to land at a company right before it takes off, Nvidia in 2019 is the obvious example. That stock can be worth hundreds of thousands, if not sometimes millions of dollars, just 5 years later. So the mistake isn't picking a lower paying industry. The mistake is picking one without ever thinking about why. Alright, that's lever 1. If I stop the video right here, you'd already be ahead of most people. But people who get lever 1 right still under-earn all the time because they miss lever 2. And lever 2 is the thing that gives you all of these opportunities. It is your resume brand. I call it your secret MBA. It does the same thing an MBA does, changes how the market sees you, but in this case, without paying 6 figures in tuition. The second you put Google, Netflix, or any other prestigious name on your resume, your career changes forever. Not because those companies make you smarter, they don't always. The reason is that the market has collectively decided that their hiring bar is really high. So if you cleared that bar once, many recruiters from then on assume you will clear theirs too. Once a bigger brand is on your resume, especially earlier on in your career, recruiters start showing up in your inbox unprompted every single week, whether you want them there or not. And that gives you one thing every person in a corporate job should be obsessed with: leverage. Think about it like dating. If you're talking to 5 people at once and one of them ghosts you, you're fine. You still got 4 other people. It's the same thing here. With a good brand on your resume and recruiters in your inbox constantly, you can shoot your shot at jobs you'd never have applied for cold. Even if a job isn't everything you'd hope for, you can aim for a compensation way above what you're typically expecting, because the worst case scenario isn't you having nothing. It's just, okay, I guess I'll just talk to one of the 4 other companies that already are messaging me. That sounds pretty nice, right? This brings me to lever 3, the one that actually turns all of this into money in your pocket. I call it strategic job hopping. The data on this is consistent. People who switch companies every 2 to 3 years out-earn people who stay loyal. We're not talking 5 or 10%. The right move at the right time can be a 40, 60, and sometimes even 100% raise in just one jump. But, and this is the part most people skip, this only works if you're already in the right industry. Job hopping is industry specific. A software company hiring for a technical role wants someone who already speaks their language and can hit the ground running, not someone who needs 9 months to figure out their industry and tools. Which means when you're not in the industry you want to be in, you may not always get the most fruitful raise jumping from one company to a new industry. But once you've already landed where you want to be long term, every jump inside the right industry, if you're following all of these levers, makes the next jump easier. About a year into my career, I had this mentor in my company I really respected who talked me out of transitioning to fintech in earlier stage companies. He said tech was too risky and that loyalty pays off in the long run, so I sat with that advice for a couple of months. He was partially right. Tech is definitely more risky than most other industries. But something funny happened. 2 months later, he left for an AI tech startup, and he's been there for 4 years doing extremely well. The lesson I learned from that experience is judge high earners in the corporate world by their resumes, not their advice. The advice a mentor internally within a company gives you is usually to benefit the company that you're in. Their resume tells you what they actually believe. So if you want to work up to the level of someone who you think is successful, forget what they said in the all hands meeting and look at what they actually did throughout their career. Loyalty is a great quality, but staying at one company for many years getting only 3% raises is not an intelligent career strategy. So the next time you hear about someone making a much higher salary when they have the exact same job on paper, you now know how to get there. industry, resume branding, strategic job hopping. If you pull all three of those as early as you can in your corporate career, then you'll be well on your way. Now, if you want to make sure you're pursuing jobs that will give you the most value out of all of these levers and keep a 40-hour work week, I made a video on that right here. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and until next time, talk soon.